your pre-show notes, and thank you for being so detailed.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're Christian.
Mm-hmm.
However, you said you have very liberal views,
Mm-hmm.
strongly support LGBTQ community,
Mm-hmm.
feminism, women's rights in general.
Mm-hmm.
You are pro-choice, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the choice to have an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
You're into socialism
Mm-hmm.
and unconventional family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, really quick? What is unconventional family?
I'm going to use a
Like
small...
polygamy? Polygamy?
Yeah, like polyamory or gay
Polyamory.
relationships, or since you don't like the they-thems, non-binary relationships.
It's not that I don't like them, and I'm not using that word in the pronoun sense. I just, the pronoun thing is confusing to me.
I can explain it to you later.
Well, it's...
Or right now.
Look, I just don't... I feel like if you look at somebody, you can have a pretty reasonable assessment.
That's the issue, is that we've been following that tradition for so long that man and women look a certain way. And whoever created that, where did you learn that from? I don't think men and women look a certain way, and that's what we're trying to change.
I mean, every single person here is, besides Q and me and Nick, are female.
Okay, and how many people are in this room, and how many people live in the world? Like, we're such a small percentage.
I've just by looking at you guys, I can make, I don't need to see your gonads. I don't even need to see your chromosomes. I can make a determination pretty simply.
I mean, but you're basing that opinion on a group of 9 people. And, are specifically, you say...
I'm pretty sure, 99% of people I'd be able to,
Okay, but you said,
female.
Girls, reach out to me. So, obviously, people who identify as a girl are going to reach out to you, and you're going to have girls in here.
Wait, what?
Because you say you're girls...
I say casting women, yeah.
Women.
Well, girls, women, yeah.
Yeah.
Female.
Yeah, so obviously people who identify as a woman are going to reach out to you.
Okay.
So you can't make that assessment based on just who's on your podcast.
Well, I mean, I could walk around Isla Vista and with probably a 99% certainty determine whether someone's a male or female.
Okay, let's do that experiment then. I'm down.
You think, what do you think my percentage rate would be on that? You think
I think you'd be surprised with the college kids, yeah.
I think I could probably, I would say even somebody who considers themselves non-binary, I think I could guess whether they're male or female.
Well, that's the issue.
Well, do you at least acknowledge that somebody who's non-binary is male or female?
No, they're not male or female, they're non-binary.
No, that's gender. I'm talking about sex.
Do you know I'm not gonna try to guess someone's biological sex.
What?
For what reason would I do that?
You do acknowledge there's a difference between gender and sex, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But so male and female, that's in reference to sex, not gender.
Okay. So then what was
we can
your
have
question?
a conversation about man and woman.
Okay.
Those are genders. Sex and female or male and female are sex, and man and woman is a gender. So you can't use female interchangeably with gender because it's not the same definition.
Let me ask you a question. Do you acknowledge that somebody who identifies as non-binary can be male or female?
Biologically, yeah.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that somebody who identifies as a woman could be a male?
Biologically?
Yeah. Well, we're talking about sex.
I mean, yes.
Okay.
But I think if someone, because you're talking about trans people, obviously, right?
Are non-binary people trans?
Well, you said if someone identifies as a woman.
In that specific, yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Biologically, they started as a male, but I like to consider them a female because I'm gonna respect their preference.
No, well, you cannot become a male or female.
I think that's just a difference in opinion between you and I right here.
Even I would say even mainstream people who are transgender would agree that you cannot become a different sex. You cannot become a female. You cannot become a male. There is a conversation about becoming a man or becoming a woman. That's very different, though.
I mean, what about if you get a gender reversal surgery or isn't that essentially kind of,
you can get fake tits. That doesn't make you a male.
At its core, yeah, you still have XX chromosomes or XY chromosomes, sure. But you can transition as much, as you want to.
Yeah,
as you need to.
You can identify you were born as a female. You can identify as a male. Or excuse me, you were born as a female, you can identify as a man.
Yeah.
But you can't. You're not a male. Your sex can't change.
Like I said, I mean, you have hormones. I mean, there's different surgeries you can get. I mean, I think essentially you're inserting yourself with biologics of the opposite gender. Like, what would you say about hormones then? Like, do hormones do nothing?
Do you think that the difference between male and female can be diminished to just the endocrine system?
I think in this day and age, yeah.
Just the endocrine system. What about the muscular skeletal system? What about the cardiovascular system? Do you not acknowledge there's differences?
I do acknowledge that, but different.
There's no therapy to change someone's cardiovascular system, for example.
That is true,
or
but
their muscular skeletal system.
Estrogen and testosterone does change stuff like muscle mass.
It might have
though.
an impact, but it doesn't. For example, there's certain differences when it comes to the angle of, like, I believe the hip, for example.
Okay, then I would agree. Yeah, there's some okay, let me phrase it this way. There are some biological aspects that, yeah, you just can't change with surgery. But we, like, as time has gone on, we've accepted more transgender people. We've offered them more care. There are drastic ways you can go about, appearing as the gender that you would like to identify with.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would just like to ask a question. So if gender and sex are two different things and gender is a social construct, then what's the point of getting sex reassignment surgeries if you're transgender, other than, like, what is it called, body dysmorphia, which is, like, even if you're not transgender, you can have that. You can.
So what's the question?
You can be, like, anorexic, whatever. Like, what's the point of sex reassignment surgeries if gender and sex are two different things and gender is a social construct?
I think that's the issue that Brian and I were running into, is, like, yes, they are two different things. Gender is a construct and sex is something factual and biological. But I think and like we were saying, there are some aspects that you're not going to be able to change completely when it comes to your sex.
But why try to change anything at all if gender and sex are separate and gender is a social construct?
Why try to change? Because people who are trans, they feel extremely uncomfortable and troubled by the fact that they still have biological parts of the gender they do not identify with.
So don't you think that we should be approaching that issue from the psychological point? Like, why do you feel uncomfortable, instead of putting them through these drastic surgeries?
I mean, are you talking about adults, or because I feel like kids would be a different.
Well, in general.
And okay, I'm gonna speak for adults then, because I think kids would be way different. But can you rephrase? What was the question again?
Here, let's move on.
Okay, that's a whole other conversation.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, sorry to stray away.
You did say unconventional family dynamics, though. So you're saying, like, kids growing up in, like, polygamous.
Yeah, or like gay relation. Because I see a lot of, like, propaganda that are like, oh, if you have a child in a gay relationship, your child is more likely to grow up gay. And there's statistics that show, like, whether a child grows up in a heterosexual or a homosexual household, they have the same probability of being gay or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, typically, though, when I think of unconventional family dynamics, if there's two loving parents in the household, cool.
Yeah.
Where I think it probably gets a little difficult is if there's, like, three parents, so it's like polyamory. I think that's probably a little can be.
I think another one that comes to mind, like, unconventional, because you said, like, two happy parents, like single moms. Like, I think you can, like, there are plenty of single moms out there, and I think you can, like, completely raise a child by your own. I mean, it's going to be really difficult, and if you have a support system, that'll make it a lot easier. But yeah, I support those kind of family dynamics as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better if you can have two parents in the household.
I mean, arguably, yeah.
Statistically proven too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's better to have a single mom, but I think you can definitely do it. Like, it's not impossible.
It is done, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you have two parents in the household, it's probably better for the child.
I mean, probably, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a lot. Socialism, okay. So
I feel like we should move on to the relationship status.
No, I'll get through it really quick. But
okay.
So there's the socialism. What's that mean to you?
I mean, think about absolutely everything in this country you have to pay for. like the parking spot I'm in right now, I should be paying for that. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, you have to, everything is capitalized upon. If we had a socialistic society, number one, people wouldn't be as rich as they are right now, and we wouldn't have class differences like we have right now. Like, I think we live in a system where they purposely want different classes. They purposely gatekeep education. Why is education so expensive? You know?
You mean like higher education?
Higher education's, yeah.
Why is education so expensive?
Well, it depends on
Probably
where you choose
because
to
the
go to
government, you cannot discharge your student loans through bankruptcy. Therefore, these companies, both the government and corporations that issue student loans, have no incentive to deny people student loans because it can't be discharged in bankruptcy. So, yeah, that's probably part of it, I reckon.
Yeah, but but that's the thing, is like, isn't that unfair? Like, because you're talking about all these corporate, like, if we didn't live in such a capitalistic society, we wouldn't have a conversation about all these big corporations because they'd be under control.
So are you proposing what? Like, how should society look?
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to change the whole society by myself, but how should it look? I mean, look at countries like Norway. Like, Norway is a really small one, so it's a little bit hard to compare.
Isn't Norway capitalist?
No, they're
No.
socialist.
They also have
I
a
mean,
population
they have.
of
Don't
6
they have
million,
an
though.
economically
There's
though?
not
Aren't
that
they
many.
capitalist?
No.
They have a social.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
There's
not
two public
super-
universities, and you don't have to pay to go.
Well, you can have free education, but still live in a. I'm not. This is not a topic I'm super well versed in.
And that's
but
the other thing too. Like,
maybe chat can
Yeah.
tell me. I'm pretty sure Norway, it's still a capitalist society.
no, I have a friend from
It's-
Norway.
My ex is Norwegian, so I can actually
Yeah.
answer this one. It's not a capitalist society, but it is very hard to live there. They do have free healthcare and free education, but they also have to serve in the military.
Yeah, and they
So
you know,
are you
it's not an
willing-
So
obligation.
just let me ask.
But
So
for men it is.
let's just make sure we're talking about the same thing. So in Norway, you mentioned a parking spot earlier.
Yeah.
You're saying in Norway, you don't. Look, this is not a topic I'm particularly well versed in. There's no currency in Norway. Don't they have kroners? Isn't the Norway
Yeah, but
kroners?
not absolutely everything you have to pay for. Like,
But-
you have to pay for absolutely everything in this country.
You have to pay for. I've been to Norway. It's very expensive. It's everything.
I
is
don't,
40%
but that's
tax
because
as
a
well.
lot of people have a lot of money because
No, they don't. The average salary of a Norwegian individual is like 67,000, and it's more expensive to live there. It's $14 for McDonald's.
Well, they're also very wealthy because of the government set up a fund related to their natural resources. Their what is it? Oil?
I think so.
like
That
very-
one I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know where we're. Welcome to the Whatever Dating Talk podcast. Okay, so society, you shouldn't have to pay for things, is what you're saying. Everything should be free.
No, I don't think everything should be free.
But you mentioned the parking spot. That
that's,
should be free.
That's something I shouldn't pay. Okay, like when I go, sorry, I'm gonna heat it because this is something that makes me mad. Like when I go to school, for example, UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
It's either I go and I pay for parking, and there's not, like, I could drive up there and there's like no parking, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna be late for class. I have to risk getting a parking ticket, like parking in a spot I'm not supposed to. Or I take the bus that never comes, like, at the time it's gonna come. Like, why is transportation so difficult for me? Like, to go to the school that I pay so much money for already. I have to pay for coffee, I have to pay for, it's just like, I already pay you guys all of this money, where is it going to?
So coffee should be socialized.
It was just an example, because I had this one day, I was like, I gotta pay for parking, I gotta pay for my coffee, and it was like $7, and it's like, I already give this school so much money, they should be offering some resources for free.
Coffee should be free. We should not be paying for coffee.
If you pay
I agree
if
with
you
that.
pay
Who's gonna give you the
$20,000
coffee, though?
dollars of tuition to your college,
But so then you could also make the argument that it pays for your library, it pays for your professors, your tuition actually does go to something. Do I think schools? I paid a hellacious amount of money
Yeah.
for school, and that was a choice that I made.
yeah.
It's a choice of also which school you go to. You can choose to go to a community college first, save. I'm a big advocate for community
Yeah,
college.
save
First
a
2
lot
years,
of
save a
money.
shit ton of money, and then decide to transfer at that point. You can save so much money. I think it is ridiculous that you have to spend so much money on parking. UCSD, I didn't go there, but I looked at it.